You'd be shocked how many legal gun owners get arrested for something they didn't even know was illegal. You buy a firearm, think you're following the rules, and then one traffic stop turns it into a felony charge. I'm Nana Knight. I'm a criminal defense attorney here in California, and I've represented way too many people who've learned these laws after they were already arrested in a jail cell. And this video walks you through the 5 rules every gun owner needs to know so you don't get blindsided by a law that nobody ever told you about, because the system doesn't care if it was an honest mistake. And if you get it wrong, the consequences are real. Who is legally allowed to have a gun in California? Here's the harsh truth in California. There are a lot of people who are legally prohibited and they don't always realize this. If you have a certain felony conviction or certain domestic violence restrictions or certain mental health related prohibitions, the state can treat you like you're on the do not touch list. And when you're prohibited, it's not just don't buy a gun. It's don't possess one, which means if you're prohibited, it could be a crime to have access to a firearm, even if it belongs to somebody else. And that's why people get blindsided. They think it's my dad's gun or it's locked up. I'm not touching it. But California cases often aren't about ownership. They're about access and control. Now, here's where it gets worse, because California has a definition of possession that can pull you into a case even if the gun isn't on you. So next, the sneakiest word in this entire video, constructive possession, the hidden definition of possession. Most people think possession means gun is in my hand or on my body. That's actual possession. But California cases also use constructive possession, and this is where people get stuck. Constructive possession is basically when the prosecution argues you knew it was there and you could control it. So picture this. You're riding with a friend, there's a gun under the seat. If the police stop the car and they believe you knew that the gun was there, you can get dragged into a possession argument even if the gun isn't yours. So same idea in a house, right? If a firearm is in a shared space and the state believes you had access and knowledge that the gun's there, that's where constructive possession comes from. And the reason this is so dangerous is simple, actually. Your life can get wrecked by one sentence you say out loud, like, yeah, I know it's there, but it's not mine. Because congratulations, you just admitted that you knew that the gun was there. You admitted that part. Now, if you want the easiest place to accidentally break California gun laws, it's your car. Let's talk about that. Okay, so let's talk about the rule that gets normal people charged during routine traffic stops. California is very specific about transporting handguns. If you're transporting a handgun in a vehicle, the general rule is unloaded and locked in the trunk or in a locked container. And locked container doesn't mean tucked in a backpack. It means an actual locked container, because here's what happens in real life. Someone thinks it's unloaded, I'm being responsible, it's in a bag, I don't have access to it, it's in the, in the trunk. But if it's not locked in the way California expects you to lock it, you can turn a basic traffic stop into a weapons case pretty fast. And I want you to notice something here. People generally don't get in trouble because they're doing something evil. They get in trouble because they're doing something casual. Now let's level up the risk. Because you're home, the place you assume is safe can be one of those dangerous places to store a firearm legally. 2 big home traps in California. Trap number 1. Who else lives there? If you live with someone else who is prohibited, California has rules about how you can keep firearms in the residence, especially if that person has access to them. Trap number 2, safe storage. California has been tightening safe storage requirements, and if you store a firearm improperly, especially around kids, you can create criminal exposure even if nobody gets hurt, even if the kids don't even know where the guns are. That's the part that most people don't understand. You don't need a tragedy for it to become a case. And if police ever come to your home for any reason, a domestic violence argument, a noise complaint, a burglary call, or anything, firearms can become part of what they look at. Now, the next rule is the one that blindsides people the most, because it can start with a fight, an argument, or a messy breakup and end with you being ordered to surrender every firearm you own immediately. Restraining orders. In California, certain restraining orders can trigger firearm restrictions fast. And I mean fast as in you may be required to surrender firearms immediately depending on the order and the circumstances. Most people hear that and they think, okay, but that's if I'm guilty. No, this can happen at the temporary stage. And if you mess this up, even by stalling, you can create an entirely new criminal problem on top of the original situation. Now for the final hidden rule, because even if you follow every possession rule, even if you store it right, even if you transport it correctly, California can still nail you on the paperwork. California is a paperwork state. If you inherit a firearm or receive one as a gift through a certain transfer, there can be reporting requirements and deadlines. And the mistake people make is thinking it's been in a family forever, nobody cares. But paperwork is exactly the kind of thing that becomes a problem later during a traffic stop, during a move, or during any moment where the gun becomes visible. So here's the simple takeaway. California gun law isn't just guns are legal or guns are illegal. It's a maze of status, access, storage, transport, court orders, and forms. And most people don't get in trouble because they're criminals. They get in trouble because they're casual. If you live in California, here's your move today. Don't guess, don't assume, and don't copy what your buddy in another state does, because California plays by different rules. If you're unsure about your status, your living situation, or how something should be stored or transported or locked, talk to a California attorney. And next, you need to watch this because it's the moment that decides whether you walk away fine or leave in handcuffs. In my next video, I break down exactly what to do and what not to say if police find a gun in your car during a traffic stop. Click that video right here, and I'll see you over there.